Hi everyone, welcome to this live edition of the Beyond the Technology podcast. It's really great to have you all here today, and we're going to be talking about all things Digital Leaders Programme. So with me today I have two alumni of the 2025 Digital Leaders Programme, and they're going to be sharing their personal insights of how that went and their journey through self-confidence and learning some of those leadership skills. So please join me in welcoming Aimee Bose, Deputy Executive Director of Teaching and Technology at South Essex College, and Andy Crisell, Learning Technology Manager, also from South Essex College. We also have with us today Deborah Baff, who is our Digital Leadership and Culture Subject Specialist at Jisc, and she's the lead for the Digital Leaders Programme as well. So really looking forward to chatting to you all today. Thank you for being here. So I thought we'd start with you both, Aimee and Andy, and chat a little bit about what motivated you to sign up to the programme. I know you're at both different stages in your careers. What was your reasoning for joining and what really drew you in? Aimee, let's start with you.
Okay, hi everyone. It's lovely to be here today. So it's a bit of a strange one, really. So I think I just wanted space. And that was something that I didn't feel I was getting a lot of in the technology space, in the leadership space. I felt like I was at technology overload. I feel like people were saying to me, go and try out this new thing, go and try this shiny thing. Here's some money and funding to go and do that. And I started to feel really fragmented. And what I wanted to do was give myself a bit of time and space to just pull things together and say, let's simplify it. And I needed people that didn't necessarily work in my organisation to give me a reality check. And sometimes you're thinking, I need a sanity check here. I need to know that this is happening to other people. And I think that was the main driver for me, was I need a bit of connection. I need some humans to talk to that aren't necessarily in my organisation. And that was kind of the main driver for applying. So, yeah.
For me, I situate myself between a team of learning technologists that I had recently been put into post to manage and directly reporting to Aimee with a strategic overview. So for me, it was really about seeing where I sat in comparison with my peers and equivalents at other organisations, the strategies that I would look to deploy or the department was already using. Were they current? Were there other options for us to explore? And really for my team, we knew that given the advances in technology, we knew we was going to be growing what was on our immediate workloads, and we wanted to make sure that we was ready for that, those processes and those actions when they came on board, that we'd be as capable and as ready as we could be as a team.
Right, okay. So what I'm hearing is two slightly different angles you were coming at the programme with. So Aimee, for you, it was more people wanting to collaborate and chat to other people outside of your organisation. And Andy, for you, it was more strategy-led. So do you both feel that you got out of the programme what you wanted in that way? Because it seems like two really different areas.
We laugh, actually, because we didn't have this conversation with each other prior to going in. And I think what we got out of it was so useful, but in a way that was quite personal to us. I think it's very rare in the FE sector that you actually get to take time for yourself and your development, and something that isn't predisposed. So, it's not a course that you have to do to tick a box. This was a course that it felt like I was being selfish, but in a way that was the best possible way, because it really realigned my focus. It really made me shut the noise out of, well, just because the sector's doing this, that must mean I should be doing this. But when you actually speak to the people from all the different sectors, there were people from FE, HE, adult provision, independent training providers. The common thread that was running through was that we're all in the same position. And people were just attacking it in slightly different ways. So in terms of the theory that then underpinned the course, everything started to make a little bit more sense. And I laughed in my reflection because it actually felt like therapy because you got to thrash out issues, you got to talk to people, but then there was so much sense behind the way the programme was structured that the theory, the practice and the application started to make sense and shut the noise out for me. So I found some really practical strategies from it. And I know we're going to get onto that in a bit. So yeah, I really did get a lot from it.
Yeah. And did you find you were able to sort of implement those strategies straight away, or was it a case of you had to go back and discuss it with your team?
So funnily enough, after the first session, I took what we had as our digital champion program. So everybody loves a champion in FE. They don't get any time for it. They don't get any remission for it. But hey, you're a champion, and that must mean a good thing. So we had this champion role for digital champions in every single department of the college. And after the first session, the guy showed us a basic infrastructure of what leaders could look like at different levels. And after that session, we pulled that, we sat down and we said, there are principles here that we can adhere to. And we thought we had to make them up on the spot. And what we found out quite a lot was that the stuff we needed was already there. But sometimes in the thick of it all, you don't necessarily know that. And that course just unlocked a few things that made life easier. So yeah, we revised our digital champion structure straight away. Right. And then as the sessions went on, we looked at strategy, policy, procedure. So I would say it was very, very practical.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So it sounds like a lot of confidence building as well, to know that you already had what you needed.
Yeah.
Andy as well wanted to talk to you about what you were able to implement straight away, how you found the programme.
Yeah, very similar. I come back from an engineering background, and project management, and I was sort of expecting maybe to blow some of the dust off of some of those strategies. But what I found really refreshing was that not only were some of those strategies sort of highlighted, but there was so many more, and I mean there was a wealth of strategies that I could cherry pick from with my team. In fact, some of them was instantly we could drop into our immediate sort of action plans, and I think for me, sort of looking over the sort of next 18 months, I could see that roadmap already taking shape, not only for me as a manager and also working with Aimee, but also with the team that I support, where I pass strategies to them and them in turn support our educators in moving forward with their technologies as well and their implementation. So it works on so many levels, not only at grassroots, but also this strategic overview with Aimee.
Fantastic. Well, it sounds like you both gained a lot from the programme. Let's have a quick look at the questions. So, yeah, do you feel like there was a aha moment during the programme or any sort of standout moments that you wanted to reflect on?
One thing for me was something I've been saying a lot with my team since I did the programme, and it was strategy versus reality. That was something I kept thinking a lot during the programme. So we have these shiny strategies and we sit in exec and we say, this is what we're going to go and do, and we're going to roll this out because the government says so. That's what we're going to do. And then I have a wander around the college and I walk into my motor vehicle department and I walk into the construction trades and I think, is that strategy really meeting people where they're at? And the answer was no, it wasn't. And one thing the course taught me was that you've got to meet your people where they're at and then push them to do more. And the strategy can become very blanket. The strategy can become very blinkered. The one thing I took from that is flip it on its head. Meet people where they're at first, then you can strategize, then you can plan. Because what we were losing is the dissemination. So we'd have this shiny strategy, we'd be really excited about it. Me and the exec team were like, this is going to work, this is what we're going to roll forward. Then Andy and his team would go, rolling that out across the college. But because it was a bit of a blanket approach at first, we weren't meeting people where they were at. We were expecting them to be here, but actually they weren't there yet. So I think the course for me gave that perspective on their... Deb, you'll have to remind me what this is. The 3 bubbles.
Which 3 bubbles?
So there's 3 bubbles. So you have the tools, the users, and then the application.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah.
And those, I mean, it was a simple task in the course, but it was the thing that made me think less tools, more about the people. And for me, that was the strategy versus reality moment. And that was a big one for me.
We have a lot of bubbles, to be fair.
Yeah.
And a caterpillar, which is,
Makes it fun. Andy, any thoughts?
For me, I go back to this again. We had opposing views, but actually aligned in the middle between me and Aimee. What really stood out for me for the course, there was a real pivotal moment that always jumps into my head, was that when the delivery was taking place, you wasn't being delivered unto. There was 15 minutes of exploring maybe a topic, and then you'd move out to breakout rooms, you'd share experiences between each other. So it was a real in-action course. But there's one particular moment where we was asked to look at what was on our immediate horizon, and could ream off 5 or 6 things and think we're going to do absolutely great things. And we was asked to put them into a grid. And there was, are you doing this for organisation? Are you doing this for my team? Are you doing this for the wider staff? And then there was a 4th box. Is it for me as a manager or my particular perspective? And I could fill every other box. But what I wasn't doing was filling a box for me, which was a bit of an epiphany. It was like, hang on a minute, if I'm not doing something for me to take me forward, how then can I take my team forward and us grow wider? So there was an immediate, right, okay, I need to make some space for me. And in turn, I'm going to be more aware of making space for my individual team members, for them to grow and them to take their practice, which is only going to take us further forward as a high-functioning, small but high-functioning team.
Yeah, and it's always hard, isn't it, to sort of big ourselves up or, talk about ourselves. We can big everyone else up in the team, but it's harder for us.
And I think that's really insightful, because I think as a manager or a leader, you spend so much time developing other people that you kind of forget about yourself a bit, don't you? You put yourself to that. So that's really insightful.
Yeah. And Deb, let's come over to you where we haven't spoken to you yet. So you've been part of the Digital Leaders Programme for a few years, many years, I don't know how many years it is.
I think I joined Jisc in 2021, so I was at the Association for Learning Technology before. So I get the whole kind of learning technologist aspect of it. And I joined as part of the programme team. So it's myself, Dan, Alan, Chris and Glyn. So we all kind of make up the programme team. Chris comes in, we kind of parachute him in to do various bits and bobs. So over the last 18 months, I think it is, we've been trying to redevelop the programme a bit and make it a bit more flexible for people. So these guys were our guinea pigs, our first lot of the newly designed one. And they were so complimentary about the course, I haven't let them go since. And I'm never going to let them go now. They've done everything with me over the last couple of days. It's really gratifying to see that what we pulled together is actually useful. That was the main thing for us. And we wanted to keep it practical, flexible, and also make sure you've got those moments of sharing with other people, because that's so important. We're all on this journey together. We're just all at a slightly different place on the journey. And if you can share something, then that's great, isn't it? And the idea being as well that we'll keep that ongoing connection, because we have a free, and you can join, and I have a QR code over there. We have a free community that you can join as well, which we encourage people who've done the programme to join the community and then keep those conversations going. And then we offer monthly drop-ins, don't we? So you can put it into action, what you've learned, because there's nothing worse than going to a course, isn't there? And then you put it on the shelf, get your certificate, and then you don't do anything else with it. So, yeah.
Yeah, have you both been using that community space, that monthly check-in?
I absolutely love the forum. One of the things that I think has really been obviously in my day-to-day activities is with the best intention, you book a meeting in, and then you get another meeting clash, and you have to shift priorities. But the way that the forum works is it's so positive, and because there's not a set agenda, you rock up to the session, you can suggest things that are important to you, and you can see what's important to everyone else, and you can effectively upvote. So what are we going to take forward today? What are we going to take forward across this next hour? And it's probably the only professional group that I've been in, that if I turn up 20 minutes late or I have to chip off another 10 minutes early, and I've even known people that have gone off, deal with the call for 50 minutes and come back and it flows. It's harmonious. We work together. I think it's not a pitch too. It's we pitch in. I think that if you was going to have a tagline for that.
Checks at the post, Andy.
Thank you very much.
It sounds like that's really needed as well. What I've been hearing from DigiFest the past few days is people-led, and that knowledge sharing as well, and the practical insights. Aimee, do you have anything to add on what Andy said?
Yeah, definitely. So I think the main thing to get across to people is that if you can just steal a little bit of time to talk to anyone that is trying to drive change, digital strategy, digital leadership in any type of FE, organisation, then these are your people. These are your people that you have to speak to, because you can get, as I said, quite blinkered in your own organisation by whatever structure that you have, or, we all know that we don't have any money to do the things that we really want to do. But I think the beauty about Jisc is, and what I have realised through this and through the forum, is that there's so much stuff out there. And it's just unlocking those resources. And sometimes it's having a chat with someone and saying, how did you do that? Or is there someone, can I come and see you? Can I come and see that happen? And you don't normally get the time to do that in those spaces. And this provides a really safe space to do that. And also to talk about the user experience. So when you're talking about the people that use the tech and use the tools, quite often in my role, I'm not the one using it. I'm not the one using it. So it sounds like a good idea and I can see it happening, and, Andy and his team will pitch to me, this is going to work because. But when you actually get into the forum and you say, how did that go for you? You get that really good raw feedback, and sometimes you don't get that in this position. You only get to see it through like a filtered lens. So I think it's like really raw and unfiltered to just go in and say, do you know what, guys? I don't think it worked.
Yeah.
I don't think it worked. What did you do? So yeah, user experience and that wraparound support. We always talk about it for teaching staff. We always talk about it for the people that we are trying to support. The user experience, the digital capabilities, the development. But where's our wraparound support?
Yeah.
And that's what this was. It really was.
Yeah, definitely.
Brilliant. So, Deb, I wanted to touch on the change in the programme. So that we've got the two different options now. We've got the Reflect and Apply and Intensive.
Yeah, the one that these guys did in November, it was over like 4 weeks, wasn't it? So it's intensive. It runs on a Tuesday morning and a Thursday afternoon.
2 hours.
Yeah, 2 hours. And then you're able to reflect a little bit in between, aren't you? But it does kind of condense it. So we've just started now, actually next week, we're running our first version of what we're calling a Reflect and Apply series, which stretches it out a bit more. So it runs kind of on a monthly basis. So you get a few more weeks in between. And the idea that we started with was offering it as a modular approach, because we used to do it by theme, but we now do it as a modular approach on the basis that somebody might just want to dip in and do one module now. But as it turns out, at the moment, everybody's actually doing all of the modules and they're stretching them out, which is fine. That's no problem. I kind of quite like that. But so it's the first time we'll have been running the Reflect and Apply starting next week. But then we're back again running the intensive in November.
And was that feedback that you had from members?
Yeah, so basically our relationship managers were kind of feeding into us that sometimes it's difficult to carve out that intensive time period, the Tuesdays and Thursdays. So we thought, well, we'll experiment with it and try and offer this and see if that works for people. Okay. Watch this space.
Yeah,
we always do try and kind of bring things on board as well. We reflect after every session and think, how can we improve it? How can we make it better? And I just try and nab ideas, basically. So these guys have been great, and not to hide their light under their bushel, but they were helping me with a community workshop yesterday, and there were people coming along. I know there's some people here today who are signed up to do the programme, and they were kind of asking them what they thought of it and how it works and how sort of the practical takeaways that they can get from it. It's all very well me sitting here going, oh yeah, that's great, come and join, but having someone that's actually done it and got the t-shirt, so to speak, and is never going to be getting away. But it's really great to have them.
Brilliant. And if there's anyone in the audience that was thinking about signing up, and this is a question to all of you really, what would be your sort of one takeaway that you would say to them is a big reason why they would want to sign up to the programme?
Yeah, I mean, I can go. Before I kind of get to like the one-liner, I just wanted to just touch on a couple of bits in terms of like a couple of the modules and a couple of the bits that really stuck out for me. So framing and mapping.
Yep.
Loved that. So framing and mapping was just that chance to go, why do we do this?
Yeah.
Why do we do what we do? And just almost like think back. So we worked from the end and kind of built forwards. That was a really useful exercise. Framing and mapping really put stuff into perspective for anyone in any kind of leadership role. I think the framing and mapping would work really, really well. Then the build model.
Yeah.
Love the build model. So the build model was just really good for navigating those complex situations where I went, oh, well, we do a bit of this, but not over here. And I've got 7 campuses. So how would that work in reality? So the build model, little plug to the build model, really has helped me out. Yeah. And then the anchor and change. Anchor and change was great. So this was about the priorities. You can't do it all at once. So what do you do now? What do you do immediately? What will have impact? What will have buy-in? And then what's the longer term plan? I think we're really bad at just trying to do it all at once because we want everything to be great. Yeah. But it really started to get it into that nice perspective of like the do now, that can come a bit later. What do you need to get to that stage? So yeah, those were kind of like key bits that I just wanted to touch upon, because sometimes when you do a course you think, okay, so but what will it mean for me? Yeah. And they were kind of like 3 main things for me that I think would be useful.
So you wanted one takeaway and you gave us a whole load of things there. That was brilliant.
See what I mean?
Andy, for you?
For me, really, it was a shared vision. Sound very dramatic here, but there's often times when me and Aimee or me and the team, we're talking about where we're taking various things, and what it's given us is a common language. So when I'm not having to try and explain particular concepts, we're already there. We already know how they're applicable or how we can apply them for our context. One of the strategies that came out of that, there's a co-create playbook.
The co-design playbook.
Yeah, co-design playbook, which is it's something we were starting to do at our heart, and it's about really not developing in isolation or for a team, but developing with them. Not only my team, but also the people we support. And if my team are listening, they're probably saying, never heard of that, like Andy, but it's coming in their team development next. So it's one of them things that it's that aspect is going to be a real flexible option where we can evolve not just for my team, but also all the different specialisms that we support. It will be not a best fit, it will be the right fit.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And Deb, for you, final sort of takeaways of what you would want to say to people who are thinking about joining the programme?
Final takeaway, as I said, QR code is available over there. Come and find me, I'm here all day. But yeah, we'd love to have you, and I think I'm quite proud of it. I think it's a programme that works for people, and it's a practical application, and it does give you that thinking space, doesn't it? And I think that's really important. So yeah, I'd love some more people to come and join.
I do have a one-liner if you want.
Oh yeah, go on.
Because I did put that. I said for me, it was about purpose and it was about people and the balance between the two. Yeah. And that balance that we struck on the course made everything make a little bit more sense. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll get that on the website. Brilliant. Well, we're coming to the end of the session time. Just want to say a massive thank you to you all for your time today. It was a really interesting conversation. And hopefully the conversation's inspired some of you to think about signing up to the next cohort. That starts next week, is it?
Next week, yes.
Next week, yep. And then the intensive in November. So you can find out more on the jisc.ac.uk website. And thank you very much for joining us.